Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is James Bergida. James is a candidate for the Republican nomination for our Virginia Senate in our new District 1. James has been in here before, but we thought the election is like June 20th, and of course, early voting is going on now.
That's right.
And we kind of want to update. We got several more candidates still coming in. I think one came, they all want to come now, so.
You're popular, Mike,
Popular place, but we hope that part of what we're doing this for is to, we have a conversation and that people can get to know the candidates just a little bit better than other than just asking, question 1, question 2, question 3.
Absolutely.
So bring us up to date. What's happened since the last time you were in here?
So last time we were in here, I don't think we knew who all the candidates were.
Right.
I don't know if we actually even knew what the full nomination method was. We may have had that barely. So since then, we're at 8 candidates. So it's quite a bit of a selection. And at this point, I'm the only candidate from Warren County.
Right.
So that's a big change. And we have been knocking so many doors.
Right.
And for me, that's the way you do politics.
Sure.
It's if you're going to be the voice of our community, you need to know what our community is saying.
Exactly.
And that has been a real pleasure and a lot of fun for me, is actually getting to talk to people. And then when I go and talk to groups, I can say, this is what our community is telling me, and here's how I think we go about solving problems for our community. So that's been exciting. We have, gone across the district. So it's, all of Frederick County and Winchester, Clark County, Warren County, and Shenandoah County. So we've been, getting out there. My poor
Your
car.
knuckles are bare.
My knuckles are bare. My tan, and everything.
Yeah.
So that has been really exciting, actually getting out there. I've worn out a pair of shoes, so I had to buy new shoes.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign. And, what we're finding from the community is we're getting a very good response. And it's paying off. So there was recently a forum. We've had a number of forums, and we had one up with the Small Business Freedom Alliance up in Frederick County. It was a great forum. Each of the candidates got to present our platform, and a bit about our background. And then they had a surprise straw poll at the end of it.
Okay.
And I won it, which was awesome, which is always great. When we have people who have been around Warren County will have seen my signs everywhere.
Right.
But seeing that sort of affirmation out of Frederick County gave us said we're in a really strong position, and that it's about turnout, getting people out there can win it. So we're excited about where we're at. We're going to leave everything on the field. We think we are within striking distance. So we're very excited for the next. Less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks. So
2 days.
Exactly.
It's that anticipation up to election night.
Absolutely. What's kind of funny is I get calls all the time with some of our elected officials and those who have run before, and they're like, "How are you, James?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, you actually know exactly how I am. You've been there. I'm well, but it's that's anticipation."
Yeah.
It reminds me a bit of when you're preparing for a big game or you're preparing for a play. It's crazy, but it's also great.
Right.
It's
you
great.
don't even and when you're at the front on the stage, you really don't see anything. You ever had
Right. Right.
It's just like it's a blur, and you just
blur.
go through the motions of presenting what you're doing. And
Exactly. So it's an exciting time. I mean, through this and being able to listen to folks at the door and over the phone, what I'm finding is, some of the top issues for folks. So, we hear a lot about, mental health. That needs to be addressed. We don't have enough beds. Access is a real tricky.
They've shrunk that industry.
Absolutely. And people have to go elsewhere in the state, to find it or wait weeks on end. So that's something that needs to be addressed. So that's been very clear to me. Other areas is people, want us to stand up for life. We're finding that, especially amongst Republican voters, they're saying how important that is. But the top issue that we're seeing is education. It comes up over and over and over again. And it's not just people with kids. It's often grandparents are concerned about, their kids' future. And it's not always some of these big hot button issues. It's just even the quality of education. And are their kids going to be, and their grandkids be prepared for today?
Right.
And, for me, I see that in my own classroom too, that we need to have a great education available. So, as we talked about last time, I'm a huge advocate for school choice for all, but we also need to make sure that we can attract the best teachers to our public schools and retain them. I mean, I've talked to public school teachers here who say, listen, I have to take a pay cut to stay here. Plus, my benefits are more expensive than you find in Loudoun County.
Right.
And so that's a real challenge for us in the Valley that that we need to be able to find ways that we can attract and retain the best teachers and the best education system. So I'm known as sort of the education reformer in this race. I'm the only current educator in the race, so you'd hope that. Yeah. But that's been a top issue, and it's attracted a lot of support because I have heard that and responded. So we recently got the endorsement of sort of the leader in education reform regionally, Senator Patricia Rucker up in West Virginia. She's just over the line from this district, and she likes what we're doing. So, she's sat on one of the education committees there, has helped pass their school choice program for all. And so that was really exciting to get her support. But we've also gotten a lot of support, here in the county in particular, in Warren County. And so that it's a really good feeling to say, listen, we're doing something right. We're bringing people together. It's people that don't always agree with each other, but they at least say, James is going to be a strong advocate for us in Richmond. And that's exciting. So we're going to be releasing a lot of these soon. But like just sort of as a sneak peek, we've got people like our Vice Mayor, Wayne Seelock, on there, so a number of members of our Board of Supervisors, and others, and some of the Republican nominees as well. And that's exciting for us to feel like, we can help, to help with these different levels of government to get good things for our community. Because I think we've gotten the short end of the stick for far too long.
Well, we've had that issue. Our previous delegates and senators, they've done a good job. But
Absolutely.
Warren County was divided up into 3 areas or more, and we just didn't feel like, I think what they've done to the delegates and the Senate section, of kind of like we can now identify who's representing us.
It's a great thing, and I mean, because they did this nesting where they put the delegate districts inside of the Senate districts and the Senate districts inside of the congressional districts. It's easier to identify and work with your community to advocate.
Yeah, if you're on the wrong side of the street, I'm in another district. And I think people are really upset about that.
Absolutely, and for me, it's great because you have the district is very clear, and we have issues that are. We can, whether you're in Shenandoah County, Warren County, Clark, Frederick, Winchester, they're the same sorts of issues. So we now can have someone who advocates for those things, across the board. Transportation's one of those areas.
Right. We've been talking about transportation for 50 years.
We have, and I think I've heard Mark Obenshane, who's now in District 2, just south of us, talking about some of the same things. So I'm really excited saying, listen, we actually at least can have 2 of us here in the Valley say, we need a passenger-only lane on 81 and try to fight for that funding. Because you're getting the funding on the other highways across the state.
They've been piecemealing 81.
Even if we can piecemeal it and piecemeal our section, because it's a problem. I mean, I talked to a young woman the other day down in Woodstock, and she's like, yeah, I don't even take 81 anymore if I can help it. And so it extends her day because the stress level is just too high.
I know when we traveled, even from Winchester, I want to go up 81. Oh, don't, my wife, oh no, go up 522. It's slower, but
and it's not great for our truckers either. I mean, they're having, they're an essential for this, our country, for our state. We have the inland port here outside of Front Royal, but it's not a good mix. So that's something we need to advocate for. And I think a lot of people want to back. That's a common sense solution. It's going to take work, but now's the time.
Yeah, and the later you wait, the longer it's going to take, and the more it's going to cost.
It's going to cost more, right?
We know we're going to do it. It's just a matter of when.
Right, exactly.
And someone has to. I always say someone's got to drive the boat, and someone's got to be out there pushing it. That brings up a point. We've had some other candidates that we've talked to, and just kind of flashed in my head there. You mentioned some things. You're one of the youngest candidates.
One of them, but not the youngest, believe it or not. There's a couple younger than me. Yeah, so I'm 30.
You just have
35.
That boyish look.
I do. It's that youthful look. And so when people hear all the things I've done, they're like, "How's that possible, James?" And I'm like, "Well, I am 35."
Yeah. So it looks like you just started shaving.
Yeah. So cursed by young looks, I guess. But no, it's exciting. But I think there's something exciting about that too. Is I think a lot of young people are having a hard time right now. It's hard to buy a house. In this area, it's hard to even get a rental that's affordable, and it's hard to find a good paying job here. I have a number of siblings who have left the district, for where it's more affordable. And so for me, it's important to be able to identify, with that younger generations coming up, that I think I can be a ray of hope and advocate for their issues too, because I want to keep families together. I want the Valley to be the sort of place that I found as a child.
Sure.
It was a great place to grow up. It was great for my parents to raise a family here, and I want that for those here. I've had friends that said, James, we grew up here together. And I and my wife both work. We have a small apartment. We can't get a house. We're doing everything right.
Right.
And so that's something we need to, think about and say, how can we help, families stick together? The farming community, I know I've talked about this as well. Sometimes it's hard to get just a family subdivision on the family farm. And so sometimes the solution seems to be we're going to sell the farm instead of being able to say, hey, can we actually build that mother-in-law suite so our family can stay here? So I think there's some things we can help with in Richmond. But I'm a guy who says we need to keep lots of these decisions local. And we need to work, as I was talking about these layers of government. And we had another forum that was also up in Frederick County. And one of the areas that surprised me was about the Dillon Rule. So that the Dillon Rule is where unless the state government says explicitly a locality can do something, they can't.
That's right.
And the other would be home rule, where it's the other way around.
Right,
they can do it unless they're explicitly told not to.
Yeah.
And so I was like, listen, I'm for local control. We need more local control because it's so much easier to advocate for yourself. Sure. And I thought, okay, that's easy. One after another of those who are running took a different position.
Yeah.
And that surprised me because I'm like, listen, it's not about power. It's about serving our community and, and working with these different levels. And I want to empower our local community as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, I know in dealing with, this in the past, I would say the average person doesn't realize how this Dillon Rule has affected our local politics because people say, well, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? Why does the town do this? Why is the county?
Right.
And a lot of it, like you said, the state hasn't given us permission. We tried to get our delegates to try to get something years ago done, and the town presented a proposal of what they wanted, and when it came back from the state, it was 180 degrees different. I mean, so
yeah,
it was crazy.
And so I think it's something that you can work towards, and I think it's important because our state legislature, it's part-time. We're down there for a couple months a year, but in our community, month after month, we have our board of supervisors, our town councils, our city councils meet. It's so much easier to advocate right here. So wherever possible, especially when it's not something about fundamental rights, a local community should be able to decide for itself. Right. And that's something I'm going to work hard on. And I think that's something that I found really differentiates me from the pack.
What about your experience going into, you're really jumping into the fire.
No kidding, right?
And of course, you're well educated, so I'm not going to mess with that. But working in a system, our state system is a lot different than we've studied about, like the federal system.
Right.
And the state, we got more hoops to jump through. How the House and the Senate work together and get bills done. It seems like a cumbersome method. Have you been studying up on that?
I've been studying up on it. I've been traveling down to Richmond a lot, during the sessions over the last couple of years, talking with our delegates, talking with our senators, talking with their staff.
So it's not new to you?
So it's not new to me.
Okay.
I have some folks who on my team who have worked there as well.
Right.
So, that I'm well acquainted with.
Okay.
So that's been great. And then I've been working, I'm on the Finance and Audit Committee here in Warren County. I was pulled into the Joint Transportation Committee for a bit as well. And so that's been a really good experience, seeing what we need to do at the local level.
Right.
And then also, talking to these folks extensively about what's going on in Richmond, because you want to have that, that kind of backing. And it's been working with these folks as well. Because what I have found, it opens up your eyes. It's a pressure cooker down there. Yeah. You've got to have a lot of stamina and you've got to have a lot of grit. And that's something, I learned from my mom, during the recession, she started this bakery to help the family get by. And I learned about the kind of grit you have to have. And it's funny, from that experience of working with her at the bakery And then going down to Richmond, I realized, these individuals, whether they're on the staff, whether they're senators or delegates, they also have to have grit. They've got to be able to go day in and day out and be able to make steps one bit at a time. Advance the ball, get up, advance the ball, and to talk about another sport. We're in baseball season now. Being able to get up to the plate for their community again and again, even if there's a strike.
If you get 2 strikeouts, you still got one.
You got one more chance, and I think that's the kind of determination you need, because a lot of bills don't get through.
Right.
But trying to still say, okay, even if we don't get it this year, we're going to get something, across the line. And so, I have studied up on it, and I've been involved in a lot of campaigns in different ways over the years. I worked with a congressional candidate here in Virginia on transportation policy. So I've been thinking about these ideas for a number of years and helping work with candidates to try to give work on those ideas to make sure we have good policy options.
Well, whoever gets elected, it's going to take a lot of stamina to make a difference, because you're going to be, whoever it is going to be the new guy on the block, and because none of the people that are running really have not been in the Senate before.
That's right.
And so it's a I hate to say it's called a good old boys club or women's club, but incumbents play an important role. You get assigned to committees, and how all that works. And the new guy gets stuck on the
But one of the great things, though, actually, is that often the new guy gets on the town and counties committee, and that for me is exciting, because those are the people I've been working with, helping them get elected, talking to them about policy locally. So I'm like, great. That's exactly where I want to be. So that excites me, because I think I can really be a strong advocate there. Yeah. But also, you are on the new guy on the block, but I've been talking with our senators, in my role as head of the Young Republicans, with 18 or 4-year-olds, I've had the chance to work with both local and state officials. And then my time on the Youngkin campaign, I know a lot of people in the administration as well. And so that, I think, gives me kind of being both that new blood that I'm hearing at the doors people want, but also having some experience and some connections that'll help me get things done, because it is about relationships. And when you get
and you don't have a lot of baggage from previous
and
to blame on you.
And God bless all those who have been out there working hard for us. But I think people realize, with the redistricting, that is a great moment for Virginia to say this is a generational moment where we can say, hey, let's put up somebody new. Let's put up, in my case, a conservative young person who loves this community, grew up in this community, and wants to get things done for this community, because, as I said, we've been getting sometimes the short end of the stick, and we've got so much potential here.
Right. We got the location. It's all about location. And I keep seeing things going in the surrounding areas, and I said, what happened to Warren County or even the other counties?
Other parts, yeah.
It's just skips over this district right here.
I know, and it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. When I went out to do my grad school, people would say, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, the Shenandoah Valley, because they didn't necessarily know Front Royal, and they would say beautiful almost every single time. And so we're known for that, and so we need good things coming here, and I want that for this community.
Well, early voting is going on now.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
And the election is June 20th.
Yep.
And we have more candidates coming in next week, so everybody now is coming on.
I know. I'm gonna probably you'll get even more calls when this goes up, right?
James is on twice. Can I come on twice? So I want everybody on. I think the more the public can see the candidates and hear from them in a conversation style, I think people can get a little better feeling about how people.
Absolutely. And just if I could just this last pitch, I want to hear from folks. So please do reach out to me. My number is 540-686-1520, because I need to hear from folks. That I want to be our voice, and you can't be people's voice unless you hear from them.
That's right.
So please do reach out.
And you've knocked on a lot of doors.
I've knocked on a lot of doors. It's a lot
of fun. Your mom and dad was in the other day looking for something for you, and so you're right. I've known your father for a while, for a long time, really.
Yeah. No, we've known you too, and you've been such a great resource to this community. So thank you.
We want everybody to win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too bad. People say, "Oh, you're favoring this person." I said, watch the interviews. You'll see that I want everybody to win.
You did a great job here, so we're grateful.
I want to do that, but I do want people to vote.
Absolutely.
And it's important for our district. It's important for our country.
Yeah, and if someone's going on vacation, we've got the early voting going on now, and we got the 2 last Saturdays. So if you can't do it during the week, go out on Saturday, get to your registrar's office, vote.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Again, James, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And maybe we'll see you one more time.
You never know, right?
Thanks again.
Thank you.